layoffs are happening at Meta. The parent company for Instagram and Facebook says that it will be letting go of 11,000 workers, which makes up about 13% of its workforce. This, of course, all comes after Twitter also laid off employees over the past week. So for more on this, let's bring in Richard Lawler. He is a senior editor at The Verge. Hey, it's great to talk to you. So let's talk about this, why we're seeing this growth. I know that there are concerns about a recession coming maybe next year. But one of the things that I thought about when it came to Meta is Meta has Facebook, where old people like me with mortgages and who buy cars, this is where I hang out. Instagram, which I think a lot of businesses really have been drawn to. And then, WhatsApp, which in many places it's almost used as a utility. It would seem like as a social media platform, Meta is poised to weather a recession storm. So why are we seeing layoffs?
Well, I think there's a combination of things that have led to that. You have, first of all, the pandemic, and many companies are kind of struggling as we move from one phase of the pandemic into another, and Meta is no different. Something that Mark Zuckerberg noted in his announcement this morning was that he staffed up, and he took responsibility for these layoffs by saying that he staffed up, kind of anticipating that the growth that they experienced early in the pandemic would be something that would stick around. And as many companies have seen, as we've seen with Peloton, with Netflix, and with Meta, that it hasn't, that it has receded. And you see these platforms, as you said, with billions of users, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, they certainly have that installed base among people, as I said, of our age, but they have struggled to grow among younger users as well, which is a serious problem for them. Another issue that has compounded what they're experiencing is Apple's sudden change with the previous version of iOS, with iOS 15, when they blocked Meta's ad tracking, which has cut off a considerable amount of their revenue. And finally, when you have all of these things together, you also have the fact that Mark Zuckerberg is trying to turn Meta into another company, that he's not kind of really satisfied with Facebook as the social media company, that he's trying to build this metaverse. He changed the name. He's investing billions of dollars. They've invested over $9 billion this year alone in the Reality Labs division, and that's not paying off yet. So those resources mean that the investments have to be taken from somewhere. And also Meta, or Facebook as it was previously known, is a company that hadn't had layoffs of this scale ever, really, since it was founded.
Okay, so got to trim the fat, didn't get the growth that, we expected, maybe invested a little too much during the pandemic when we were all stuck at home. So, where are we seeing the fat cut? What teams are being laid off, and how could that impact operations?
These layoffs are striking many teams. I think the places where Facebook is focusing its investment, as Mark noted, is really a lot of their AI development. And I think they're trying to invest in the technology that they're going to use more going forward. And something that we've seen and that we'll need to keep an eye on as we proceed, you've seen just with the elections, you've seen it with the Twitter layoffs, that sometimes these companies are getting rid of these teams that monitor communication both in the United States and around the world, because you need many people to see what's going on in the local culture, in the local languages. And that could leave them vulnerable to things that we've seen before with misinformation, and with other problems that can arise on the platform when you have less staff, because they let people go from these less crucial departments that maybe aren't as critical on a balance sheet, but can really affect the world.
One thing we've seen with Twitter is that before it was saddled with all this additional debt, it wasn't a platform that made money. And sometimes it's really, these social media platforms are so ubiquitous, you just assume that they're making money hand over fist. And sometimes that's not the case. What is the case with Meta? Is it making money? And if it's not, is there a pathway to make money?
Meta is still making an incredible amount of money.
Okay.
What they aren't doing is growing as fast as they were. And that's really what I think investors have responded to negatively over this last year, is their struggles in growing that revenue. And also, as I said, growing particularly with those younger users. They were able to stave that off. They purchased Instagram. They purchased WhatsApp so that they have that international user base. But that's something that they really have to do. They have to change the way that young people interact with the internet, or kind of find a way to interface with them. And the metaverse is supposed to be something for that. But so far, we just haven't seen it.
Yeah, just personal opinion. The hardware is a little too expensive, I think, to be accessible to everyone.
$1,500 is a lot.
Yeah, Yeah, and everyone knows I'm an Oculus user, so I'm into it. I'm totally into it. But yeah, I think it's got a long way to go. Richard, thank you so much.
Thank you.